Today I will be processing Roselle hibiscus, Florida cranberry, and then I'll make a couple really neat things with it. It's time to collect Roselle calyxes. This year I only have, this is one plant right there. I usually have a lot more. Because I usually have a lot more, I still have a lot of them dehydrated. So I'll just take these, gather them all up in the basket, and then it's processing time. So pre-rinsed for most of the stuff to come off, especially the sand. And I'll soak them for 15 minutes or so, 20 minutes, with just a little bit of salt in it. So in case you have anything wormy in there, it will escape out of the fruit, just like with pickle worms and cucumbers. That works for this too. But usually I don't have any wormy problems with these at all. And then they go in the colander and let them drain off. Okay, now we need to clean these all up because all we want is the outside petal. So one way to do this is to just peel them off, just like that. And that usually works better on the older ones, and it's still a job. Another thing to do is to cut off the bottom and then make a slit on the side and get them out. And the third way is, thanks to environmentalists, we now have stainless steel straws and they work quite well. You just put it right over here, hold it firmly, and then kind of wiggle it through, and look at that, comes right out. And you have the empty calyx. Now, one thing with these is if you dry them whole, they take up a whole lot of room, so I usually break them apart. But if you do keep some of these whole and then you put them in hot water, they rehydrate into this beautiful blossom, so that's kind of cool. So they've all been rinsed again, and I'll have to put them on the dehydrator. There is nothing wrong with using it fresh, but whatever you do with it fresh, you can also do with the dehydrated ones. And because I have to process a deer tomorrow, I don't have time to deal with this right now and canning them up. These are the little showpieces. You want the ones that have a nice opening, that look open up, because they dehydrate and obviously they shrivel up. And then when you put them in the hot water, they'll come blooming up again. So they go separate. These are the nicest ones, and the rest is just broke up. I have 2 of these trays, and I'll put them in the dehydrator overnight. So to make this super versatile powder, the thin powder, I'll just use an old coffee grinder that gets used for all sorts of things, moringa, everything else. And I'll show you in a second how beautiful that comes out. All the goodness of the powder, don't breathe it in. And then I store my powder in a spice jar. So when I need it for, say, instant tea, I'll just shake it out. Look at this beautiful color. Look there, hot water. Couple shakes of instant. Out of the spice jar. A whirl, and the tea is ready. How quickly is that? Super cool, right? So to take these from the dehydrated crumbles into something that is not super fine powder, I just put it on a cloth napkin. As you can tell, I'm not ironing the cloth napkins. And I'll take a rolling pin to it. And the rolling pin gives us these nice irregular sized little crumbles. And I will incorporate them into some cupcakes. A favorite in the house is cupcakes with hibiscus in it. I just the slightly crushed one. I mean, you don't want 2 big chunks in there or it'll be, tough biting on it. But they go in here, and then we fill our cupcakes. And this is what these cuties look like inside. That's neat, right? Of course, you can make cake with it too, confetti cake, but cupcakes are always cool. You can ice them 3 ways. One with the powder in the icing, one with the powder on top, and one with the sprinkles on top. How's that for pink cakes with vitamin C? And then there are a couple other cool things. So this is the small 1 egg version of pickled eggs. It's the vinegar brine, and usually you would put beets in it. And I'll just put some of the concentrate in it. Look at this. Unfortunately, I didn't peel this nicely. So this came off, but isn't this a cool color? Hey, I think that beats. Very cool purple. Then I hard boiled an egg, and they're called tea eggs. So you crack the outside, makes cracks in it just like you would peel it, and then submerged it. But I would say that's a fail. It looks more sickly than nice. It will still be eaten though, and might be a good Halloween thing because the blue is just a little odd. And then we have here Easter eggs. Look at them. I don't know why it did this blue thing there, but look how they turned blue. So I had 2 colors in there. The blue one was a white egg, and this one was a light brown tan egg. So all this with hibiscus powder. I just made the tea when it was cold, the instant tea, and when it was cold I put the boiled eggs in. And this is the brine for the pickled eggs, and I'll just added some of the powder too, with the water ratio like you would usually do with the pickled eggs. And here what we got. I'm digging this one. The pickled egg is really the bomb. I cannot believe that they make such different colors. Neither is the color of the tea of the hibiscus, but this is really neat. And surely for Easter we will make some blue eggs with totally natural dye growing in the yard, and the pickled eggs are a keeper too. This color is nice too, but not as vibrant. And the tea eggs, I don't know, maybe this hen just had an egg membrane that was thicker. It should have worked good. It's kind of okay, but it didn't even do it all the way around, so that's a little sad. But there you go, dye your eggs, make pickled ones. Okay, so which one do you want to eat first?
They look like century eggs on a budget.
Excuse me? Cranberry sauce. But of course, this stuff from the store is full of high fructose corn syrup, whatever. So this is out. And if you grow the Roselle, you do not ever need to buy cranberry sauce again. How I make mine is, of course, you can make it with fresh, but I don't have the fresh ones right now, so I use the ones that I just dried. You need a little bit of sugar. It's all up to taste. If you like it sweeter, do more. If you don't, do less. This really is so intuitive, you don't even need a recipe. I rehydrate mine with orange juice. This separated. It's home canned, so when it sits for a while, it separates, but it's good. A little dash of salt. If you don't have orange juice, you could use dehydrated oranges. Just make sure they're in small pieces because they get bigger and you don't want the big rind chunks in there. Or you could just submerge orange rinds and powder them up or fish them out later. Either way, the orange juice though is kind of a mandatory ingredient. It really puts this to the next level. It's so good. Let's make it. So simple, you put your dehydrated or fresh ones in a pot. For the dehydrated ones, you want to add enough liquid so they're kind of covered. And then I'll just let them sit there for a little while and stir them. You can do this overnight in the refrigerator and they will be mostly rehydrated the next morning. But for now, we just let it sit there and then I'll start cooking. Okay, so about, I don't know, 30 minutes into it, they're getting softer. And I need to add a little bit more water now. As you can see, I leave mine fairly big. This is because cranberry sauce, I love the one with the whole berries. If you like it smoother, you could blend it up or crunch it up like with the rolling pin again or with a cup over them to make it smaller pieces and you have a smoother sauce. So all that's left is to add some sugar. For now, I'll just put a spoonful in there and a tiny bit, whoops, that almost fell out, a tiny little bit of salt. And I'm gonna start cooking till it thickens up. Taste test revealed, it's quite sour and it's still a bit, has a bite, so I'm adding more water and reduce that and also more sugar, and then it should be almost done. We can look at the end result. This is about how long I let mine go and how much I reduce it. Like I said, these are big pieces because I like them, but you can make them with the smaller pieces. Also, it cans up really well, 15 minutes water bath, because this is acidic enough to just do it. Now let's see what it looks like when it cools down. It's out of the fridge, and look how nicely it is gelled up. No pectin in it, it does that naturally. It's so good. This will go well with our sauerbraten, and is this the reason I can't keep it on the shelf canned? Because everybody now uses it as jam, as a spread on their bread, PBJs, everything. It's really good stuff. If you make it as jam, of course you can add more sugar, but it really isn't necessary. It's one way to cut down sugar and still get all the goodness of the fruit.